You tilt your head back and let the night pour over you. The sky stretches like a quiet ocean, deep and unbroken, dotted with distant lights that pulse softly in their own rhythm. Some are stars, vast furnaces burning in serene patience. Some are planets, massive and slow, tracing invisible paths around unseen centers. And among them, nearly imperceptible to the hurried eye, drift tiny stones, wandering without haste, carrying secrets that predate you, me, and even the sun itself. These are asteroids, cosmic travelers, quietly moving through the vast emptiness. They seem small, fragile, almost insignificant, but as you breathe in the calm of the evening, you sense their depth, their ancient memory. These stones are older than imagination, fragments left behind from the birth of the solar system. You imagine the violent chaos of that time, clouds of dust and gas swirling, colliding, merging, breaking apart again. Gravity is the silent artist, shaping orbits and sculpting paths, pulling fragments into new formations. Somewhere within that chaos, you realize, the seeds of your world, and of countless others, were forged. And now, here you are, gazing at their quiet descendants, floating with patient dignity through the void. You feel a peculiar closeness to them, a subtle recognition, as if seeing a face in a distant mirror of time. Your mind drifts closer to one of these stones. It spins gently, revealing a surface mottled with color, jagged and irregular, scarred from collisions with others over billions of years. You notice the tiny flecks of metal glinting faintly in the starlight, flecks that may one day fuel human ingenuity or hold clues about the earliest moments of planetary formation. Each crater is a chapter, each ridge a sentence, and each shimmer of dust a whispered word from the past. You imagine reaching out to touch it, and though your hand cannot cross the void, your mind can trace every contour. The surface feels rough beneath your imagined fingers, cold but familiar, like the comfort of smooth stones in a river you once walked beside. As you drift in this meditation, you realize that these wandering stones are storytellers. They carry with them the essence of the cosmos, a chemical memory, a record of heat, pressure, and collision. Their minerals, nickel, iron, silicates, hold patterns that speak of a time when worlds were young and possibilities infinite. In each one, there is a hidden map of creation, a record etched not in ink, but in atomic arrangements and crystalline structures. You do not need to rush to understand them. Simply observing, letting your imagination wander, allows you to absorb their quiet wisdom. Some of these asteroids have wandered close to planets, brushing past them in silent greeting. Others have remained on the distant fringes, circling the sun in slow, deliberate paths. You imagine the gentle tug of gravity as a soft hand, nudging each stone into a dance, unseen yet inevitable. They move without hurry, unconcerned with human schedules, yet their motion is precise, patterned, and harmonious. Watching them, you feel your own heartbeat slow, syncing subtly with the rhythm of these distant travelers. Your breathing becomes a mirror of their silent glide, in and out, steady and unhurried. You notice that each stone is unique. One is pockmarked and dark, absorbing light and history alike. Another glimmers with metallic veins, catching the faint glow of a distant star. Some are tiny, no larger than a pebble in your hand. Others are massive, spanning kilometers, silent giants adrift in the void. You think of the stories they could tell if only you could translate the language of rock and dust into words. In their quiet, patient way, they are keepers of secrets. You feel a thrill in your chest, a gentle excitement that is both intellectual and emotional. Here is a world you can explore without leaving your own calm space, a universe of knowledge waiting quietly for your attention. Your imagination wanders further, seeing not just the stones themselves, but the space between them, the emptiness that gives them shape and motion. The void is not nothing. It is a silent stage, a canvas on which these travelers perform their slow, graceful ballet. You sense the invisible lines of force, gravity whispering directions, momentum painting trajectories. You feel as though you are floating there too, weightless, with the stones spinning around you, tracing invisible arcs of history. The experience is meditative, your thoughts settle into a gentle rhythm, echoing the movements of these ancient travelers. Even the smallest stones have value, both scientifically and metaphorically. They are remnants of beginnings, compacted stories, carriers of minerals, metals, and occasionally water. You reflect on how humanity has always been drawn to such fragments, seeing in them opportunity, insight, and even inspiration. The very idea that a tiny rock drifting in space can hold the keys to understanding planets, chemistry, or even the origins of life, feels profound and calming at the same time. You take comfort in this knowledge, letting it sink gently into your awareness, like a stone settling in soft soil. You imagine sending instruments, satellites, and perhaps one day humans to meet these stones. You picture sensors mapping their surfaces, magnets detecting hidden metals, and microscopes examining dust grains for clues of primordial chemistry. Even as you imagine these technological whispers, you feel no urgency. Time stretches infinitely here, and exploration is a slow, deliberate art. You drift along with the stones, letting your curiosity unfold naturally, like waves that rise and fall without force. As the chapter draws to a close, your attention lingers on one small asteroid, spinning silently, glinting faintly in the cosmic sea. You sense it holds something remarkable within, though you cannot yet see it. It is a whisper from billions of years ago, a fragment of the early solar system, waiting patiently for someone to notice. You let your mind rest on this thought, gentle and reflective, as the vast sky stretches endlessly above. And somewhere, between the shadows and starlight, you feel the hint of a new understanding, the unique fingerprint each stone carries, a guide to the secrets it keeps and the treasures yet to be revealed. And in this quiet, meditative moment, you wonder softly, what stories are hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the right eyes to read them, as the universe continues its gentle, unending rhythm. You begin your observation once again under the calm canopy of night, letting your gaze settle on the drifting stones that float silently through space. Unlike the stars, whose light blazes steadily and without variation, these asteroids carry individuality. Each one is distinct, marked not only by shape and size but by the deeper story etched within its matter. You imagine running your fingers along invisible ridges, tracing patterns that have existed for billions of years. These patterns are their fingerprints, signatures left by the circumstances of their birth, the collisions they have endured, and the transformations they have quietly experienced. You sense the quiet poetry in this, that no two stones are the same, yet all are connected by the shared history of the solar system. Some were born close to the young sun, their surfaces hardened by intense heat, glowing faintly even in memory. Others formed farther away, in cooler, shadowed regions, carrying ice and organic compounds that whisper of distant, frozen worlds. You feel a deep appreciation for the diversity, recognizing that every variation is meaningful, every anomaly a clue. The fingerprints are subtle, delicate, and sometimes hidden, requiring patience to interpret. As you imagine approaching one asteroid, you notice the gentle sparkle of metallic veins threading through its rocky body. These veins are traces of iron, nickel, and cobalt, remnants of the primordial dust that once swirled in the young solar system. You picture how, over eons, tiny particles merged, collided, and settled, forming solid cores and crystalline patterns. The asteroid's surface bears scars from countless impacts, each crater a letter in its story, each ridge a sentence in a silent cosmic manuscript. You feel the weight of time in these markings, yet the experience is not heavy, it is quiet, gentle, and full of wonder. You drift closer, imagining a light touch on the surface. It is rough, uneven, yet there is rhythm in its irregularity. You sense layers upon layers, each carrying chemical memories. Some layers hold silicates, light and reflective, tracing the early heat of the solar nebula. Others conceal metals, denser and cooler, forged in the violent heart of previous collisions or the cores of now extinct planetesimals. You notice that even dust, which appears insignificant from afar, contains the silent testimony of chemical evolution. Every grain, every mineral, carries meaning, patiently waiting for careful observation. In this quiet journey, you understand that fingerprints are not just visual. They are chemical, magnetic, and even isotopic. You imagine sensors scanning the asteroid, reading the composition of its elements, detecting variations in density, and mapping hidden metallic cores. You feel your mind blending with these instruments, interpreting patterns as if you were the asteroid itself. You sense the subtle differences in composition that distinguish one stone from another, each hinting at its origin, trajectory, and potential for discovery. There is comfort in the precision of these signatures, a reassurance that even in the vast emptiness, order and individuality persist. Some asteroids reveal themselves through reflections, catching distant starlight in ways that hint at their material secrets. Others remain muted, absorbing light and shadow alike, challenging you to look deeper. You imagine tracing the faint glow of a metallic surface, sensing how its reflection shifts with rotation and tilt. You realize that even these tiny changes carry meaning, clues about the density, structure, and composition that will guide future explorers. Your mind moves gently through these observations, savoring each insight as a slow, meditative discovery. You feel drawn to the idea of collisions and transformation. Many fingerprints were forged through violent encounters, when asteroids struck one another or brushed past larger bodies. You picture these impacts as slow, graceful dances rather than chaos, energy transferred, materials fused, surfaces reshaped. Some collisions exposed inner cores, revealing metallic veins previously hidden, while others scattered fragments that would travel for eons before returning as meteorites. You sense that these scars, though violent, are part of a cosmic narrative, evidence of persistence, change, and resilience. There is a quiet poetry in knowing that even destructive events contribute to beauty and understanding. As your attention deepens, you consider the invisible aspects of fingerprints, magnetic fields, subtle isotopic ratios, and chemical traces invisible to the eye. You imagine these as hidden scripts, telling stories of solar radiation, cosmic rays, and the slow chemistry of the void. Each signature is a clue to history, waiting to be deciphered with patience and curiosity. You feel your thoughts expanding, flowing outward like the gentle arcs of orbiting stones, and you recognize that understanding these patterns requires time, attentiveness, and a willingness to immerse yourself in the quiet language of the cosmos. Your mind drifts to the idea of classification, the way scientists group asteroids by type and composition. C-types, rich in carbon and dark in reflection; S-types, stony and silicate-rich; M-types, metallic and dense. You picture these classifications as soft brushes on a painter's canvas, subtly coloring your understanding of the solar system. Even without memorizing their names, you feel the rhythm of diversity, the balance of abundance and rarity. It is enough to observe, to let your awareness float through these distinctions, appreciating the delicate fingerprint that marks each celestial traveler. You imagine gently following one asteroid through space, tracing the trajectory that has brought it to your attention. Its fingerprint tells of distant collisions, slow cooling, and mineral formation under conditions impossible to recreate on Earth. You feel a sense of intimacy, as though the asteroid has shared its private history with you alone. Each glint of metal, each dark patch of carbon, speaks softly, and you lean in with your imagination, absorbing details at a pace that is calm and unhurried. You notice patterns, subtle regularities, and small anomalies, all forming a tapestry of cosmic storytelling. Even in your meditation, you recognize that fingerprints are guides to potential treasure, not only of metals and minerals but of knowledge. They indicate which stones might contain hidden iron cores, which might carry water, and which preserve the earliest chemical compounds of the solar system. You sense that discovery is not hurried, it is a gentle pursuit, a patient unraveling of meaning. Each fingerprint you perceive invites further curiosity, nudging you forward into understanding, without pressure, only the quiet thrill of revelation. As you linger in this meditative observation, your awareness drifts beyond the asteroid itself to its relationship with others. You imagine chains of asteroids, families linked by shared origin, their fingerprints echoing similarities and subtle differences. Some wander alone, like solitary travelers, while others drift in groups, remnants of larger bodies broken apart long ago. You feel the interconnectedness of these cosmic fragments, the way history leaves traces across space, waiting for thoughtful eyes to notice. There is comfort in knowing that even in silence and emptiness, patterns exist, softly guiding your attention. And so, as you pull back slightly, letting the asteroid story rest in your awareness, you notice a subtle invitation: the fingerprint is not complete, not fully revealed. It whispers that there is more to learn, more to observe, and more connections to make. You feel the gentle pull of curiosity, a soft tug toward understanding motion in orbit, toward the way these stones dance through space under gravity's quiet guidance. You leave this asteroid with a calm sense of wonder, your mind attuned to the next lesson waiting just beyond the visible horizon. The fingerprints linger in your thoughts as a quiet question: how do these stones move together, in rhythm and orbit, carrying their secrets across the vast distances between worlds, as the cosmos continues its slow, graceful dance? You close your eyes briefly and imagine stepping into space, weightless, drifting alongside the asteroids you have come to know. They move with subtle grace, tracing invisible curves that stretch across millions of kilometers. Each one follows a path dictated not by haste or randomness, but by the quiet laws of gravity, the unseen hands that tug and guide every fragment in the solar system. You feel the rhythm of their motion as though it were music, slow and deliberate, carrying history with every rotation. You notice how they never collide unless nudged, how they glide past planets, moons, and each other in delicate arcs. The dance is precise, yet not rigid. There is space for deviation, for small shifts caused by distant forces. You feel as if the universe is breathing, exhaling with subtle currents of motion, inhaling with invisible tides that sweep through the void. Watching, you sense your own body synchronize with the calm pulse of this cosmic rhythm. Each heartbeat mirrors the steady drift of these ancient stones. Some asteroids move in nearly perfect circles, while others trace elongated paths, swooping close to the sun before retreating into colder shadows. You imagine following one through its orbit, feeling the slow acceleration as it approaches perihelion, and the gentle deceleration as it drifts back toward the distant reaches of the solar system. Time stretches as you observe, each movement a meditation. You realize that the seemingly empty space between objects is as vital as the asteroids themselves. It is the stage on which the cosmic ballet unfolds, a quiet expanse that allows freedom and balance. Gravity is the invisible choreographer, shaping every path with careful attention. You sense its subtle touch, the tug of a planet pulling one asteroid slightly off its course, the gentle push of another body nudging it into resonance. You imagine these forces as hands of a patient teacher, guiding each stone through its lessons of motion and patience. Even collisions, when they occur, are part of the choreography, adding new steps, creating fragments that will themselves follow smaller, intricate dances. You feel the elegance in this structure, the balance between chaos and order, and it soothes you deeply. You focus on one asteroid family, fragments of a larger body long ago shattered by a collision. They move together, loosely bound in pattern, yet each with its own unique rhythm. You notice how gravitational nudges keep them in subtle harmony, preventing them from straying too far from one another, yet allowing individuality in their paths. Observing this, you feel the universe's care, a gentle patience embedded in the mechanics of celestial motion. You let your mind drift with these fragments, gliding alongside them, weightless and calm, absorbing the poetry of their synchrony. The dance of orbits teaches attention to detail. Even a whisper of force, a passing planet, a solar tide, a small collision can alter the trajectory. You imagine the countless millennia over which these adjustments accumulate, creating the orbits you now observe. The motion is slow, measured, and yet full of quiet drama. You feel your own thoughts slowing, matching the deliberate pace of these cosmic travelers. Observation becomes meditation, and meditation becomes knowledge. Each orbit is a story, written in motion rather than words, an autobiography of time, distance, and gentle persuasion. You sense the interconnectedness of orbits. Some asteroids follow resonances with Jupiter or Saturn, their paths stabilized by distant giants whose gravity orchestrates distant interactions. You feel the tug of these planets as soft vibrations, subtle but persistent, shaping not just the path of a single stone but the architecture of thousands. You realize that every orbit is part of a larger system, a web of influence and rhythm, connecting each fragment to the wider cosmos. Even in their solitary journeys, asteroids are never truly alone. You allow your imagination to trace the complex intersections where orbits come closest, where a slight perturbation could send a stone toward a collision course with another body or gently nudge it away. You feel the suspense of potential motion, the hidden tension of forces that remain imperceptible to most observers. Yet in this quiet, you are aware of the beauty and uncertainty. The universe allows space for possibility, for movement that is both predictable and mysterious, like a slow unfolding story you can savor without haste. As you follow individual asteroids, you notice their spins, rotations that twist their surfaces like dancers turning on invisible axes. Some tumble chaotically, their rotation irregular from past collisions, while others spin steadily, axis aligned with orbital motion. You imagine how this rotation affects the asteroid's journey, the way sunlight or thermal effects can slowly alter paths, nudging them imperceptibly over millennia. Even the smallest influences are meaningful, shaping the narrative of movement with gentle, deliberate care. You imagine tracking a particular asteroid over months, observing subtle changes in position, speed, and rotation. You feel your attention stretch across time and space, a patient observer attuned to the slow pulse of celestial life. Each observation is a quiet conversation with the universe, a gentle inquiry into the forces that guide motion without haste or judgment. You feel a soft reverence for the precision embedded in the seemingly chaotic paths, understanding that order and freedom coexist perfectly in this cosmic dance. Some orbits bring asteroids near planets, close enough to be affected by tides and gravity, yet far enough to continue their slow glide. You feel a subtle thrill imagining these near encounters, the asteroid brushing past a planet's influence, shifting slightly but continuing its long journey. The interaction is delicate, a fleeting moment that will echo across its future trajectory. You sense the elegance in these encounters, the small interventions that ripple outward in time and space, contributing to the uniqueness of each path. You realize that observing these dances requires patience, an acceptance that movement is slow and deliberate, a reflection of the vast timescales at play. Your mind relaxes, attuning itself to the gentle rhythms, letting the oscillations of orbit and spin mirror your own internal calm. The stones are guides, showing you the quiet beauty of motion, the balance of force and freedom, and the meditative flow of the cosmos. And as you drift alongside them, weightless and attentive, you notice a thought forming, soft and reflective. The movement of these asteroids is not just geometry, it is a story of persistence, stability, and subtle change. You sense that within their orbits lies another layer of wonder, a hidden treasure that awaits those who understand the language of motion. And somewhere, in the gentle arcs traced across the void, you begin to wonder what lies beneath the surface of these travelers, what metals and minerals wait quietly inside, preserved over billions of years. You float alongside an asteroid, feeling the gentle pull of gravity and the slow hum of the universe around you. Its surface appears jagged and rough, a tapestry of craters and ridges that hint at the collisions it has endured. Yet you know that beneath this rugged exterior lies a quiet treasure, a hidden interior shaped by forces both violent and gentle, stretching back billions of years. You imagine breaking through the outer layer, not with force, but with careful observation, letting your mind explore what has been preserved in silence. The first layer you encounter is rocky, composed of silicates that glitter faintly in the distant starlight. You feel the textures beneath your imagined fingertips, grainy, solid, yet alive with history. Each mineral grain carries a story of formation, tiny particles that collided and fused in the early solar nebula. You picture clouds of dust and gas slowly coalescing, tiny vibrations of heat and motion pressing atoms into crystalline patterns. These silicates are ancient notes in a symphony, resonating across space and time, carrying the echo of the solar system's birth. Beneath the rocky exterior, you sense veins of metal, winding like streams through the body of the asteroid. Iron and nickel glint faintly, reminding you of fires that burned long before Earth even existed. You imagine the heat and pressure that formed these metals, deep in the cores of planetesimals that have since broken apart. The metal is dense, cool, yet vibrating with subtle energy, a quiet reminder that even in stillness, matter holds memory. You feel a reverence for the slow, patient processes that create such richness, knowing that these metals are not only valuable but a record of cosmic evolution. Sometimes, you find pockets of ice, frozen water trapped within the stone for eons. These pockets are fragile, shimmering faintly as if aware of your presence. You imagine the molecules of water, clinging together, carrying traces of hydrogen and oxygen that have journeyed across the solar system. Perhaps some of them even hold organic compounds, tiny seeds of the chemistry that might one day give rise to life. You feel a soft thrill imagining these hidden worlds inside worlds, miniature archives of possibility, quietly awaiting discovery. As you explore, you notice the layering of the asteroid's interior. There are areas where silicate and metal are intertwined, where crystalline structures have formed over repeated cycles of heat and collision. Each pattern is like a stanza in a cosmic poem, telling of the asteroid's resilience and endurance. You feel the calm of understanding, realizing that every mineral, every fragment, has a purpose and a story. They are not merely resources, they are chronicles of time, condensed and preserved in stone. You pause to consider the scale of these formations. Even small asteroids can contain significant quantities of metals, silicates, and ice. Some of the largest hold hundreds of millions of tons of material, carefully layered by natural processes. You feel a gentle awe at this abundance, recognizing that nature works on scales beyond ordinary comprehension, and yet each formation is precise, deliberate, and elegant. You imagine the slow movement of atoms over eons, the way heat, pressure, and cosmic collisions sculpt the interior with quiet patience. In your meditation, you imagine the scientists and explorers who one day will examine these asteroids more closely. Instruments might map the metal content, detect hidden cores, and reveal structures invisible to the eye. You picture them studying spectral lines, tracing the fingerprints of elements, and reconstructing the story of formation from subtle clues. And though they will rely on technology, you understand that imagination, curiosity, and careful attention are equally important. You let your mind wander along with these imagined explorers, tracing the veins and layers as if you were reading the asteroid's memoir. You consider how the different minerals interact, how silicates can encase metals, and how ice can persist in shadowed craters. You feel the quiet balance in these interactions, each element stabilized by its neighbors, forming a structure that is both delicate and enduring. The asteroid becomes a miniature ecosystem of matter, not alive in the way you might expect, but alive in its complexity and resilience. You sense the subtle energy that flows through it, the magnetic hints of metal, the latent heat from ancient formation, and the faint echo of collisions long past. As you explore deeper, your attention drifts to the surfaces of individual grains of metal and silicate. You imagine examining them under a microscope, seeing crystalline lattices, tiny fractures, and patterns created by heat and pressure. Each detail is a record of cosmic history, preserved meticulously by the quiet of space. You feel a sense of intimacy, as though the asteroid has invited you to peer into its hidden world, and you respond with calm attentiveness, absorbing each pattern slowly, letting it imprint in your mind. Even the tiniest fragments within the asteroid have meaning. Dust and microscopic minerals carry chemical signatures that tell of ancient radiation, solar winds, and chemical reactions that occurred long before life existed on Earth. You picture researchers tracing isotopes and elemental ratios, slowly piecing together stories written in subatomic ink. You feel your mind expand with the awareness that richness is not only in quantity but in story, the information preserved in every particle, waiting to reveal its quiet secrets. You sense that the interior of the asteroid is dynamic in subtle ways. Thermal cycles, rotation, and past collisions have rearranged materials, forming veins, fractures, and pockets that create a silent rhythm within the stone. You imagine listening to this rhythm, feeling the asteroid's heartbeat in your mind. Each movement is slow, subtle, yet significant, reflecting billions of years of history. You feel calm as you align your awareness with this rhythm, letting your breath match the gentle tempo of cosmic time. The asteroid becomes a teacher in patience, showing that discovery requires careful attention and observation. You feel your curiosity settling into meditation, appreciating the interplay of rock, metal, and ice without rushing toward conclusions. Each layer invites reflection, each vein encourages gentle exploration. You understand that the hidden wealth is not only in the material itself but in the story it preserves, the formation of planets, the delivery of essential elements, and the echoes of processes that shape the solar system. And as you drift back from the interior, letting the asteroid's secrets rest in your awareness, you notice a subtle invitation to observe not only the materials but how we perceive them from afar. Satellites, telescopes, and sensors will one day become your eyes in space, revealing what the surface only hints at. The richness you have imagined is mirrored by the tools humans will craft, bridging imagination and reality in a gentle dance of understanding. And so, with a calm sense of wonder, you let your thoughts linger on the hidden interior, the metals, silicates, and ice that lie beneath the surface, patiently awaiting attention, as your mind begins to turn toward the eyes in the sky that will one day map them. You lift your gaze to the heavens once again, imagining the fleet of satellites and telescopes floating silently above the Earth, beyond the atmosphere, beyond the glare of city lights. They are your eyes in the sky, patient and attentive, scanning the cosmos with unwavering focus. Each instrument hums softly in your mind, their sensors sensitive to the faintest glimmers of light, the subtlest shifts in reflection, the tiniest gravitational tugs. You feel their presence as a gentle companion, guiding your curiosity without urgency, teaching you the rhythm of observation and patience. From afar, the asteroids appear as tiny sparks in the void, yet these eyes in the sky can discern far more than mere shape. They detect texture, composition, density, and subtle movements that hint at hidden riches. You imagine the telescopes turning, their lenses capturing spectra, splitting light into colors that reveal the minerals hidden inside distant stones. Each pixel of data becomes a thread in a quiet tapestry, a story of what lies beneath surfaces unseen. Your mind floats between the raw signals and the poetic patterns they suggest, translating cold measurements into a gentle understanding. You consider the tools themselves, imagining how each satellite is crafted with care, instruments honed for precision and delicacy. Some scan invisible light, capturing shapes and rotations, others measure infrared, revealing temperature and thermal inertia, still others sense the invisible magnetic whispers that hint at metallic veins hidden deep within. Each instrument contributes its own perspective, a lens that adds clarity to the larger picture. You feel a meditative connection to this network of observation, understanding that seeing is not merely looking, it is interpreting, sensing, and listening to the subtle messages the universe offers. Through these eyes, you watch the asteroids rotate, spin, and drift along their orbits. You notice the way sunlight glances off a metallic surface, scattering reflections like tiny fireworks across the dark canvas. The instruments capture these hints, allowing you to imagine the internal structure, dense cores, rocky exteriors, or icy pockets tucked in shadowed craters. You feel the quiet thrill of discovery, not in haste, but in gentle revelation, the kind that soothes and stimulates simultaneously. Each glimmer of light is a whispered secret, a guide toward understanding the material richness and history of these wandering stones. The satellites also map motion. You imagine them tracing the paths of multiple asteroids, recording speed, rotation, and orbital alignment. These observations help you anticipate interactions and discover families of stones born from common ancestors. You sense the elegance in this mapping, the way invisible lines and vectors connect distant objects into a coherent system. There is comfort in this order, a gentle assurance that even amidst apparent randomness, patterns exist, patiently waiting for the attentive observer. You drift in thought to how scientists interpret these patterns, piecing together data as if assembling a mosaic. Each reflection, each spectral line, each magnetic measurement contributes to a fuller understanding of composition. You feel yourself gently parsing these signals, tracing veins of metal, pockets of silicate, and hidden ice. Your mind stretches across the vast distances, translating cold numerical data into warm insight, bridging the mechanical with the imaginative. In this way, observation becomes meditation, blending attention with quiet reflection. The precision of the satellites is remarkable. Some can detect variations in brightness as subtle as a fraction of a percent, hinting at rotation, surface irregularity, or reflective patches. Others sense slight perturbations in orbit caused by tiny gravitational nudges, revealing hidden mass distribution. You imagine the instruments like patient detectives, quietly noting every subtle clue. You feel the calm of understanding that each small detail contributes to the larger story, each observation a gentle step toward uncovering the hidden treasures of these distant travelers. Your attention drifts to radar mapping, a method that bounces signals off the surface of asteroids to measure distance, shape, and rotation. You feel the slow, rhythmic pulse of the radar as it scans and returns, each echo carrying vital information. These waves travel through empty space and return like a whisper, translating silence into understanding. You sense the patience required, the slow accumulation of knowledge, the layering of data that gradually reveals the asteroid's secrets. There is elegance in this process, a quiet poetry in turning the invisible into the perceptible. You imagine combining all these perspectives, visible light, infrared, radar, magnetic fields, into a cohesive map. The asteroid emerges not as a vague point of light but as a living landscape of potential. You feel your mind wander across its surface, tracing ridges, veins, and craters, following the patterns hinted at by distant observation. Even without physical touch, you sense the richness within, the hidden layers that your imagination now understands through careful attention. The tools are extensions of your awareness, and in their quiet service, you feel a connection to the cosmos that is both meditative and intellectually satisfying. Beyond individual asteroids, you notice the broader context. Satellites reveal clusters and families, orbits that suggest common origin, and subtle anomalies that hint at unexpected compositions. You feel the thrill of pattern recognition, tempered by the serenity of slow observation. Knowledge accumulates gently, like soft layers of dust settling over time, revealing both the familiar and the mysterious. Each mapped stone is a small victory of understanding, yet the vastness of space reminds you that curiosity is endless and exploration infinite. As you meditate on this process, you notice how these eyes in the sky bridge imagination and reality. They allow you to sense the interior, trace the orbits, and glimpse the hidden wealth of metals, silicates, and ice, all without moving your physical body. You feel a deep gratitude for these extensions of perception, the instruments that translate distant signals into insight, and you sense your mind expanding alongside them. Observation becomes a quiet dance, a conversation between human curiosity and the patient cosmos. And as you float gently through this imagined survey, you feel the first hints of connection with what comes next. You notice traces of material that have already arrived on Earth, fragments that slipped past planetary defenses and drifted gently to the ground. Meteorites, small and silent, carry with them the history you have been observing from afar. You feel a gentle curiosity stirring. What stories do these tiny visitors tell, and how might they guide your understanding of the richest asteroids yet to be explored? And so, with your attention lingering on the delicate mapping of distant stones, your mind turns softly toward the breadcrumbs they leave behind, the meteorites that have arrived, carrying secrets from across the solar system. You imagine stepping lightly across an open field beneath a starlit sky, the quiet of night wrapping around you like a soft blanket. Scattered across the terrain, you notice small, dark stones lying in the grass. At first, they seem ordinary, but as you bend closer, you feel the gentle pulse of curiosity stirring within you. These are meteorites, visitors from distant asteroids that have journeyed across the void for millions of years, carrying with them whispers of cosmic history. You sense the weight of their stories, the quiet endurance that allowed them to survive fiery passage through Earth's atmosphere. You pick up one small fragment, its surface rough and pitted, etched with marks of entry and survival. You imagine the heat it endured as it plunged through the sky, flames licking its edges, yet within, the core remained intact, preserving secrets older than any forest, older than the mountains. You feel a quiet awe as you hold it, sensing the delicate balance of destruction and preservation. This fragment, tiny though it is a messenger from the far reaches of the solar system, carrying information about composition, formation, and the path it has traveled. Each meteorite becomes a breadcrumb, a clue to the source asteroid drifting silently in space. You imagine tracing its path backward, reconstructing the invisible line that connects Earth to a distant rock orbiting the Sun. Even though the journey spans millions of miles, you feel the connection, the invisible trail laid gently across space. You sense the elegance in this silent mapping, the way fragments tell stories that are otherwise hidden from view. You drift with the meteorite's journey, imagining its slow and steady movement before it finally descended to your hand. The surfaces of these fragments are textured with patterns, scars of collisions that occurred long before they left their parent body. Some carry metallic veins, shimmering faintly even under the soft light of night, while others hold silicate layers, glassy and intricate. You sense the fingerprints of distant events, asteroid impacts, solar radiation, and the subtle influences of gravity. Each mark is a quiet record, waiting for you to interpret its story, like reading a letter written in stone. You feel your mind open gently, willing to absorb these histories without hurry or pressure. You imagine scientists examining these meteorites, carefully analyzing their chemical makeup, isotopes, and magnetic properties. Instruments reveal iron and nickel cores, silicates, water traces, and even tiny organic compounds. Each measurement becomes a line in the narrative of the asteroid from which it originated. You sense the careful, patient work required, the slow accumulation of understanding that turns a simple rock into a cosmic diary. You feel yourself participating in this meditation, your attention focused on detail yet flowing freely with wonder. As you hold another fragment, you notice subtle differences: texture, density, color, even weight. Each tells a different story of origin and journey. Some come from carbon-rich asteroids, dark and fragile, whispering of organic chemistry and ancient solar winds. Others are dense and metallic, fragments of cores stripped from parent bodies long ago. You feel a deep connection to this diversity, recognizing that each fragment contributes a piece of a vast puzzle. Even in miniature, they reveal the scale and complexity of the solar system. You imagine the meteorites as guides, pointing toward the richest asteroids yet to be explored. By studying their composition and trajectory, scientists can identify families of asteroids with similar fingerprints, predicting which might contain metals, silicates, or frozen water. You sense the quiet logic of this process, the way careful observation transforms scattered fragments into maps, connecting distant points across millions of miles. Your mind drifts gently along these invisible trails, following each fragment's story back into the cosmos. Some meteorites have traveled great distances, ejected from collisions with other asteroids, wandering through space for millions of years before arriving on Earth. You imagine the slow arcs of their journey, the invisible nudges of gravity, and the subtle push of solar radiation altering their path. You feel the patience embedded in these trajectories, a cosmic rhythm that unfolds without haste. Observing this, your thoughts slow, your breath deepens, and you sense the meditative quality of tracing these silent journeys across the void. You notice that each fragment is both a survivor and a messenger. Some are broken and fractured, yet even these bear clues about the internal structure of the parent asteroid. You imagine scientists slicing and polishing tiny sections, revealing crystalline patterns, mineral veins, and isotopic ratios. You sense the careful attention, the quiet reverence for what these small stones can teach. Every cut, every scan, every observation becomes a meditation in curiosity, translating raw matter into understanding, and revealing the hidden wealth carried silently across the solar system. As you continue, you notice subtle connections between meteorites found in different locations. Some share composition, suggesting a common origin, fragments of a once larger body now dispersed through space. You imagine plotting these points, seeing invisible lines stretch across the sky, connecting distant stones to their parent asteroids. You feel a sense of calm excitement, a gentle awareness that the universe leaves trails for those patient enough to follow them. The breadcrumbs guide you, not with urgency, but with quiet insistence, hinting at the hidden richness still waiting to be discovered. You let your imagination expand further, tracing the journey of a fragment from its ejection millions of years ago, through the cold vacuum of space, past planets and moons, until it enters Earth's atmosphere. You feel the friction, the heat, the fiery entry that both threatens and preserves its secrets. And finally, it lands softly in some remote place, like a messenger gently depositing a letter for the attentive observer. You sense the cosmic patience required for this, the unhurried timeline stretching across eons, and it mirrors your own slow exploration of understanding. Even the smallest fragments matter. Tiny specks of dust embedded in meteorites carry isotopic information, revealing conditions in the early solar system. You imagine tracing these particles back to distant clouds of gas and dust, witnessing the processes that forged planets, moons, and the asteroids themselves. You feel a quiet reverence for the patience required to interpret these signals, the way science transforms scattered stones into a coherent story of cosmic history. It is a gentle reminder that discovery is always built upon observation, reflection, and a slow, attentive mind. And as you gather these cosmic breadcrumbs in your mind, imagining the stories each carries, you sense a subtle guidance. The fragments not only reveal their own histories but point toward asteroids still adrift, waiting to be observed and studied. You feel the invisible threads linking each meteorite to its parent body, forming a network of discovery that stretches across space and time. The quiet excitement is meditative, a calm anticipation of the journeys yet to be traced. And so, as you hold one last fragment softly in your awareness, you imagine the pull of hidden metal veins and dense cores deep within asteroids, drawing your curiosity forward. You sense the next step in your gentle journey, feeling the magnetic whispers that hint at hidden treasure, as forces unseen tug patiently at both stone and mind. You drift gently alongside the asteroid, feeling its ancient presence in the quiet of space. Beneath its rough, cratered exterior, you sense an invisible force, a gentle pull that exists quietly, silently, waiting to be noticed. This is the language of metal, iron, and nickel hidden deep within, their magnetic whispers hinting at cores forged in the earliest chapters of the solar system. You feel a soft fascination stirring as you imagine these forces stretching across empty space, subtle yet perceptible, drawing attention without hurry. Even from a distance, magnetic fields are detectable, almost like a heartbeat resonating faintly through the void. You imagine placing a sensitive instrument nearby, one that can feel the tug of metallic veins and dense cores. It hums softly in response, registering the invisible presence. You sense the quiet drama here. Beneath the seemingly ordinary surface lies a story of formation, concentration, and preservation, waiting to be revealed. You feel yourself attuning to this rhythm, allowing your imagination to follow the gentle lines of force through the asteroid's body. The metals themselves are ancient, forged in extreme conditions billions of years ago. You imagine the iron and nickel coalescing in the cores of larger parent bodies, melting and separating under immense pressure and heat, before these bodies broke apart in violent collisions. The fragments drifted into independent orbits, carrying the concentrated metals with them. You sense the elegance in this natural sorting, the hidden architecture of matter that now extends its quiet influence to those who seek to understand. You picture tracing the magnetic lines through the asteroid, observing how they subtly weave around denser regions. These veins of metal are like invisible rivers, winding through the rocky mass, telling stories of formation and resilience. You feel a meditative awe at the precision of nature, the way gravity, heat, and pressure have orchestrated patterns that are both complex and harmonious. Even without touching, you feel the contours of the metal, guided by the faint whispers of magnetic attraction. The pull of metal is subtle but insistent, revealing the potential treasures concealed beneath the surface. You imagine scientists sending instruments to map these fields, using magnetometers and sensors that respond to the quiet tug. Each reading, each variation, forms a map of possibility, indicating where cores may be denser, where metallic veins may converge. You sense the calm satisfaction that comes from translating invisible forces into understanding, from seeing what the eye alone cannot perceive. You drift closer to a particularly promising asteroid, imagining its core dense with iron and nickel. The magnetic pull is stronger here, a gentle guidance that leads the instruments and your mind toward the hidden heart. You sense the contrast between the rough exterior and the smooth, compact metal beneath, like a secret hidden behind a textured veil. The asteroid becomes a teacher in patience, showing that discovery requires careful listening and attention to subtle forces rather than brute exploration. Even the shape of the asteroid affects the flow of magnetic influence. You imagine its uneven surface creating a complex web of attraction, directing lines of force along ridges and valleys, concentrating in unexpected areas. You feel the quiet excitement of understanding these patterns, of recognizing that observation must be gentle and precise. Each measurement is part of a slow, meditative unraveling, revealing where the richest concentrations lie and hinting at the history that produced them. You consider the instruments that detect these fields. Some map variations in magnetic intensity across the asteroid's surface, others detect anomalies indicating dense metallic cores beneath. You imagine following these readings, connecting points of attraction to form a mental map of the interior. It is a quiet process, a gentle dance of observation and interpretation, where subtle clues guide your awareness, and each insight is absorbed with care. You feel a sense of calm empowerment, understanding that these tools extend your senses into realms you could never touch directly. The metals themselves are not static. Over billions of years, asteroids have been subjected to collisions, heating, and cosmic radiation, creating magnetic anomalies and subtle variations. You imagine tracing these anomalies, each telling a story of cosmic events, each offering a clue to the asteroid's history and composition. You feel the patience of time in every line, the careful accumulation of subtle shifts that now reveal themselves through magnetic influence. It is a quiet form of storytelling, one that demands attentive, unhurried observation. You sense the link between magnetism and the asteroid's density. Where metallic veins concentrate, gravitational response is stronger, and subtle shifts in orbit or rotation can be traced back to these cores. You imagine instruments measuring these effects, observing slight accelerations or perturbations that hint at what lies beneath. Your mind drifts gently through these connections, sensing the interplay of matter, force, and time, understanding that even the smallest anomaly can be a guide to hidden wealth. In meditation, you visualize following multiple asteroids, each with its own magnetic story. Some pull gently, almost imperceptibly, while others hum more strongly with the presence of dense metals. You feel your awareness stretch across the solar system, tracing invisible lines between instruments and asteroids, between observation and imagination. Each thread is a quiet channel of insight, connecting distant bodies through subtle forces that whisper their secrets to those who listen carefully. You consider how magnetism guides human exploration. Spacecraft can detect metallic cores before even landing, helping prioritize targets for mining or study. You imagine following the lines of force in your mind, mapping where metallic concentration might offer the richest yield. There is serenity in this process, a sense that discovery can be patient, deliberate, and meditative, allowing curiosity and observation to unfold slowly like the gentle rotation of the asteroid itself. Even as you imagine the richness of metals, you remain aware of their integration with silicates and ice. The magnetic pull guides your attention but does not dominate the story. The asteroid is a whole, a complex combination of materials, each contributing to its structure and history. You feel a gentle harmony in this realization, understanding that focus on one property enhances rather than diminishes appreciation of the entire system. You let your mind absorb the subtle relationships, the quiet orchestration of matter shaped over eons. And as you drift slowly away from the asteroid, sensing the fading pull of its magnetic lines, your mind turns toward the softer, more delicate treasures it might carry. Ice and organic molecules await, tucked in shadowed craters, whispering of water and life, waiting patiently for discovery. You feel the gentle transition, the invitation to explore not only metallic wealth but the possibility of life's chemical seeds scattered through the cosmos. You drift gently through the black expanse of space, noticing asteroids that carry a different kind of wealth. Their surfaces are cold, shadowed, often pitted with craters that hold ice frozen solid for billions of years. You imagine approaching one, feeling the subtle chill radiating through the void, sensing the quiet preservation of water, locked in stone, untouched by time. These icy pockets are fragile, delicate repositories of history, carrying molecules that predate Earth and perhaps all life known to you. The ice glimmers faintly in the reflected sunlight, as if aware of your gaze. You imagine tiny crystals forming layers, trapped in shadowed crevices, preserving the fingerprints of solar wind, cosmic radiation, and early chemical reactions. Each layer is a chapter of quiet time, documenting conditions in the solar system when planets were still forming. You feel the patience required for such preservation, the gentle balance of exposure and protection that has allowed these molecules to endure. Among the frozen water, you sense the presence of organic molecules, complex compounds that contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and sometimes nitrogen. They drift quietly in the ice, fragile yet resilient, like seeds waiting to sprout in the right environment. You imagine these molecules clinging together, forming chains and structures that hint at the earliest chemistry of life. There is a quiet poetry in their existence, a reminder that even in the cold void of space, potential stirs, patiently waiting for opportunity. As you explore the asteroid's surface, you notice tiny fractures in the ice, formed by collisions or thermal cycles over millennia. Within these cracks, water molecules carry hints of isotopes that tell stories of origin and journey. You feel the delicate connection between the asteroid and its distant parent bodies, how fragments of ice may have traveled vast distances, carrying with them the chemical signatures of faraway worlds. You drift with these molecules in your imagination, following their journey with gentle attention. Some of the ice is mixed with dust and silicate particles, forming a composite material that is both sturdy and intricate. You feel the harmony in this mixture, the way solid and frozen elements coexist, preserving both structure and chemical integrity. You imagine scientists analyzing samples, studying isotopic ratios, and tracing the pathways of hydrogen and oxygen atoms. Each discovery is a quiet revelation, a bridge connecting the ice of distant asteroids to the chemistry that eventually seeded planets with water and organic compounds. You imagine the story of these molecules over billions of years. Perhaps some were ejected from their parent bodies during collisions, wandering through the void, tumbling slowly in microgravity, shielded by ice from the radiation of the sun. You sense the delicate balance required for survival, the patience embedded in these drifting travelers, and you feel your own mind attuning to their gentle rhythm. Observation becomes meditation, and meditation becomes connection with the quiet persistence of matter in the cosmos. The ice and organics hint at possibilities beyond simple chemical preservation. You imagine their role in seeding life on early planets. Water is a medium for chemical reactions, organic molecules are building blocks, and their combination over millions of years can produce complex compounds. You feel the poetic resonance of this process, the subtle whisper that life's potential is not confined to one world but scattered patiently across the solar system. It is a meditation on resilience, potential, and quiet creativity, as though the universe itself waits with gentle anticipation. You picture tiny instruments sent to study these icy asteroids, sensors that measure composition, temperature, and molecular bonds without disturbing the delicate balance. You imagine spacecraft hovering above craters, scanning with infrared and ultraviolet light, revealing hidden ice beneath layers of rock. Each measurement uncovers a quiet story, transforming invisible molecules into knowledge, connecting you to the asteroid's patient preservation of cosmic chemistry. You feel a soft wonder at the care required to interpret these signals, a meditative respect for both the instruments and the asteroids themselves. Some of the ice is ancient, formed before Earth's oceans existed, carrying isotopic signatures of the early solar system. You imagine tracing the path of these molecules, connecting their origin to distant clouds of gas and dust that formed the sun and planets. You sense the continuity across time and space, the way chemistry persists patiently, linking distant asteroids to the possibility of life. It is a quiet reminder that even in isolation, matter carries memory, potential, and purpose. You drift along shadowed craters, imagining the quiet dance of molecules in microgravity. Each collision, each vibration, each small rearrangement of atoms is part of an ongoing story, a subtle rhythm that continues without haste. You feel yourself attuning to this rhythm, letting your breath synchronize with the slow, patient evolution of chemical potential. Observation becomes immersion, and immersion becomes understanding, a soft connection between your awareness and the frozen history preserved in these distant stones. The asteroids also hint at variability. Some are rich in water ice, others in organic compounds, and some in both. You imagine tracing patterns across families of asteroids, understanding which might have delivered essential ingredients to planets, and which may still hold secrets waiting for exploration. You feel the excitement of anticipation, tempered by calm observation. Knowledge accumulates gently, like layers of ice forming over millennia, revealing both structure and hidden potential. You notice that even small changes in temperature or radiation can subtly influence the ice, reshaping surfaces, revealing new textures, or exposing deeper molecules. These processes are slow, patient, and natural, and you sense the meditation in observing them. Each subtle alteration is a quiet narrative, a gentle reminder that even in the vastness of space, change persists, slowly sculpting matter, shaping possibilities, and preserving secrets. And as you hover over the asteroid, imagining the hidden ice and organic molecules, you feel a profound sense of continuity. The frozen water, the organic compounds, the minerals, all are threads connecting distant fragments of the solar system to life, chemistry, and possibility. You sense the delicate balance between preservation and potential, a rhythm that is quiet yet powerful, subtle yet fundamental. And as your awareness lingers on these icy travelers, your mind drifts gently toward the larger picture, the mapping of hidden wealth across space, connecting composition, orbit, and accessibility into a cohesive understanding of the solar system's treasures. You float above the asteroid belt, your awareness extending across millions of miles of quiet rock, metal, and ice. Each asteroid carries the story of formation, collisions, and drift, and each carries its hidden wealth. You imagine drawing a map in your mind, connecting points of composition, orbit, and accessibility. Lines stretch between distant rocks, forming a network of potential, a web of discovery that flows effortlessly like a river in space. You feel the gentle rhythm of strategy and observation merging into meditation. In your mind, every fragment, every data point, becomes part of a larger pattern. Metallic cores, silicate layers, and icy pockets are represented not just as materials, but as possibilities, nodes in a mental chart of abundance. You sense how scientists prioritize their targets, balancing the richness of materials against the difficulty of access. Some asteroids are close, their orbits near Earth's path, while others drift farther, silently waiting, carrying treasures that require careful planning to reach. You feel a calm understanding of this balance, knowing that exploration is as much about timing and preparation as it is about curiosity. You trace lines connecting asteroids that share composition, imagining the invisible family trees that link them. Metallic fragments hint at dense cores, icy pockets suggest water and organic molecules. Each pattern reveals not just potential wealth, but history, the journey each asteroid has taken over billions of years. You sense the elegance in these invisible connections, the way data forms a silent narrative, guiding attention and imagination simultaneously. Observation is meditation, and meditation is insight, carrying you gently across the cosmic landscape. Charts and graphs appear in your mind, each curve and symbol flowing like ink on parchment. You imagine scientists interpreting spectral data, orbital mechanics, and density estimates, turning raw numbers into an intuitive map of promise. You feel the meditative calm of pattern recognition, where even complex data becomes gentle and comprehensible, a river of information moving softly through awareness. Each chart is a bridge between imagination and reality, allowing you to see hidden treasures without touching them. You consider the delicate balance between effort and reward. Some asteroids are rich but distant, requiring significant energy to reach. Others are smaller, closer, or easier to access, yet carry sufficient materials to justify exploration. You sense the patience in prioritization, the gentle consideration of risk and reward. In your meditation, you imagine plotting courses, aligning paths of spacecraft with the most promising targets, ensuring that every choice is deliberate and thoughtful. This is a map not just of materials, but of intention, a calm strategy guided by both knowledge and imagination. Your mind drifts to the instruments that provide this information. Telescopes, satellites, spectrometers, and magnetometers all contribute to the map of abundance. Each observation adds a layer of detail, refining predictions and enhancing understanding. You imagine combining these perspectives into a cohesive whole, where composition, orbit, and accessibility converge into a single, flowing visualization. The network of asteroids becomes a living diagram, alive with possibility, yet serene in its ordered complexity. Even the smallest details matter. Slight variations in composition or density can alter priorities, guiding attention to overlooked opportunities. You imagine tracing subtle differences, connecting the faintest signals to hidden richness. Your mind flows with the data, translating numbers into images, and images into gentle understanding. The quiet satisfaction of discovery emerges from the slow accumulation of insight, each step measured, unhurried, and deliberate. Observation, interpretation, and imagination merge in a meditative rhythm. You notice how temporal factors shape the map. Orbits change subtly over time, rotations alter surface exposure, and collisions occasionally create new fragments. You imagine overlaying these changes, seeing not just static abundance, but evolving landscapes of potential. You feel the patience required to understand these dynamics, recognizing that exploration is not an act of haste, but a slow dance with time, observation, and cosmic rhythm. Your thoughts drift along the orbits of asteroids, calm and steady, tracing invisible curves through the void. Accessibility is as important as composition. You imagine calculating trajectories, determining fuel needs, and weighing the energy cost of mining versus potential reward. The map is not just a representation of wealth, but of feasibility, a quiet guide to choosing where to invest attention and resources. You feel the meditation in balancing possibilities, appreciating the subtle logic that transforms scattered observations into a coherent plan. Each decision is both practical and poetic, a reflection of patience and foresight. In your mental mapping, you sense patterns of clustering. Some asteroids share orbits or composition, forming families that hint at past collisions or shared origins. You imagine tracing these patterns, predicting where hidden riches may be concentrated. Each discovery is a gentle thrill, yet tempered by serenity, as understanding emerges slowly, like sunlight stretching across a still morning. The connections are invisible yet perceptible, guiding your attention through the vast landscape of space. You consider the human role in this mapping. Each map is a bridge between imagination and execution, a way to translate curiosity into exploration. You imagine the careful planning, the simulations, the slow accumulation of knowledge that allows humans to prioritize wisely. Even without immediate physical exploration, the mental map carries you across the solar system, connecting what is known with what is possible. You feel the calm confidence that comes from seeing order and strategy emerge from apparent chaos. As you float along your mental map, you notice the interplay of uncertainty and prediction. Some asteroids are well studied, their compositions confirmed, others are hinted at through indirect measurements. You sense the quiet patience required to refine estimates, to trace invisible lines of inference, and to let observation accumulate gradually. The process is gentle, rhythmic, and immersive, a meditation on discovery itself. Knowledge grows slowly, yet steadily, like stars brightening in the distance. You imagine synthesizing all this information into a visual map of abundance, a tapestry of material richness woven across space and time. Each asteroid is a point of light, its brightness reflecting potential, its position revealing accessibility. Your mind drifts across this map, tracing lines between nodes, balancing distance, composition, and opportunity. You feel a gentle satisfaction in the coherence that emerges from complexity, a sense of calm mastery over the scattered patterns of the solar system. And as your attention lingers on this mental map, connecting metallic cores, icy pockets, and orbiting fragments into a flowing network of abundance, your thoughts begin to turn toward the quiet excitement of discovery itself. You sense the promise that each carefully mapped asteroid holds, mystery, potential, and the gentle thrill of what remains unseen. You feel the meditative joy in knowing that exploration is both a methodical process and a journey of imagination. And so, as your mind traces the invisible lines linking composition, orbit, and accessibility, you sense the anticipation of the final chapter, the quiet promise of discovery, where all these threads converge into the serene wonder of the cosmos. You float once more above the asteroid belt, feeling the soft pulse of the cosmos beneath your awareness. Each rock, each fragment, each icy or metallic core carries stories you have traced, whispered lines of history, formation, and survival. You notice the subtle interplay of light and shadow on their surfaces, the glimmering reflections of distant sun rays, and the quiet rotation that spins each stone through space. Everything seems alive in its stillness, a meditation on patience, endurance, and hidden richness. Your mind drifts over the journeys you have traced, meteorites traveling silently to Earth, magnetic veins revealing dense cores, icy pockets carrying the seeds of chemical potential. You feel the gentle satisfaction of understanding these threads and their interconnections. Each piece of knowledge is a soft discovery, a quiet joy that arises not from urgency but from attentive observation. You notice that in this journey, the act of watching itself becomes a meditation, a slow dance between curiosity and calm reflection. The asteroids seem to shimmer with possibility, carrying untold treasures yet untouched. You imagine the metallic veins, rich with iron and nickel, lying deep within rocky bodies, waiting for instruments and imagination to trace their paths. You sense the frozen water tucked in shadowed craters, delicate and ancient, carrying chemical whispers of potential life. Each discovery is both concrete and poetic, measurable yet mysterious, a bridge between science and quiet wonder. You drift gently among these wandering stones, imagining the maps you have drawn, connecting composition, orbit, and accessibility. Your mind floats along invisible lines that trace relationships between fragments and parent bodies. You sense the gentle logic that underpins the cosmos, the way patterns emerge from apparent randomness, the way careful observation reveals clarity hidden beneath the surface. You feel a deep calm as you follow these connections, understanding that every discovery is both a step forward and an invitation to pause and reflect. You think of the instruments that have guided your journey, the satellites, telescopes, spectrometers, and magnetometers that extend your senses into realms you cannot physically touch. You imagine their quiet hum, translating signals into knowledge, bridging the gap between human perception and cosmic truth. You sense a gentle intimacy with these tools, a shared meditation of attention and care. Through them, the asteroids communicate their secrets softly, patiently, as if waiting for the right mind to listen. Even the smallest fragments you have traced carry significance. Meteorites scattered across Earth's surface hold keys to understanding distant bodies, frozen in time and preserved against the chaos of the void. You imagine tracing these breadcrumbs, following invisible threads back to their parent asteroids, feeling the quiet delight of connecting distant pieces of a cosmic puzzle. Each discovery is not a rush of triumph, but a soft confirmation of patience, a gentle acknowledgement that the universe offers its secrets to those who observe with care. You notice the rhythm of the asteroid belt itself, a slow, flowing dance choreographed by gravity and orbital mechanics. Each stone moves with quiet certainty, obeying the laws of motion and the subtle tug of neighboring bodies. You feel the serenity in understanding this motion, the meditative satisfaction of observing order emerging from complexity. Even as new questions arise, you feel grounded, knowing that the cosmos has its own timing, and your observations exist in harmony with it. The wealth of these asteroids is more than material, it is knowledge, connection, and imagination. You sense the power of observation, of following magnetic whispers, tracing icy trails, and mapping abundance across vast distances. Each layer of understanding enriches your perception, offering a quiet joy that is both intellectual and emotional. You feel a deep gratitude for the patient accumulation of insight, a recognition that curiosity itself is a gentle practice, a meditation that bridges mind and universe. You imagine future explorers, scientists, engineers, and dreamers following the paths you have traced. Instruments will hover above distant rocks, carefully scanning surfaces and interiors. Spacecraft will navigate along calculated trajectories, guided by maps of composition and accessibility. And you sense the quiet continuity of this pursuit, each generation building on the careful observations of the previous, each step deliberate, patient, and infused with respect for the vastness they explore. The promise of discovery is both personal and collective, a meditation shared across time and space. You consider the beauty of uncertainty, the allure of what remains unseen. Even as you have mapped, traced, and imagined, countless asteroids drift silently, carrying secrets yet untouched by human curiosity. You feel a soft thrill, not of urgency, but of gentle anticipation, a quiet reminder that the universe is patient, and exploration is an ongoing journey. Every unknown object, every hidden core, every frozen molecule carries the potential to teach, to surprise, and to connect observers with the profound richness of space. You allow your thoughts to drift freely among the stars, imagining each asteroid as a note in a grand cosmic symphony. Metallic veins hum softly, icy craters resonate with potential, and distant orbits create a rhythm that is invisible yet perceptible to patient observation. You sense the harmony underlying apparent randomness, the elegance that emerges when attention meets curiosity. It is a meditation on both the cosmos and your own capacity to wonder, to perceive, and to reflect. And as you drift in this quiet awareness, you realize that the pursuit of asteroids, of hidden wealth, of cosmic secrets, is itself a gentle form of connection. Each observation, each map, each breadcrumb, and each magnetic pole contributes to a story far larger than any single discovery. You feel your mind attuned to the rhythm of the solar system, synchronized with the slow dance of rocks, ice, and metal. There is serenity in this understanding, a calm joy in the knowledge that curiosity and reflection are themselves treasures. And so, as your journey reaches its soft conclusion, you sense the quiet promise of discovery stretching into the distance. The asteroids remain, patiently drifting, holding mysteries and treasures, inviting your attention. You feel the gentle tug of possibility, the whisper of questions yet to be asked, the subtle thrill of what might be revealed with careful observation. Even as your mind rests, the cosmos continues its slow dance, waiting for you to notice, to wonder, and to explore again. The night sky stretches endlessly above, a canopy of quiet potential. Each tiny stone, each orbiting fragment, each frozen or metallic core is a promise, a reminder that the universe is both generous and patient. You sense the gentle continuity of discovery, the meditation inherent in observation, and the calm joy of connecting with something vast, ancient, and alive. And as your thoughts drift like cosmic dust between stars, you feel the tender pull of curiosity, knowing that the journey never truly ends.